Number 5. Hotarumaru. Hotarumaru is a otachi believed to have been crafted by the 13th century soulsmith Rai Kunitoshi. An otachi refers to a large sword with a blade length over 35.4 inches, primarily used as a weapon for mounted combat. Hotarumaru was traditionally held by the Aso family, who served as chief priests at Aso Shrine in Kumamoto Prefecture. This sword has a total length of approximately 53.5 inches, with the blade alone measuring about 39.4 inches, making it remarkably long. The name Hotarumaru originates from an anecdote related to Aso Korezumi, a priest at Aso Shrine. In 1336, during the Battle of Tatarahama, Korezumi participated and used this sword to aid the warlord Kikuchi Taketoshi. Despite their defeat, something miraculous occurred that night. The sword, which had been notched during the battle, seemingly repaired itself when the broken piece miraculously fitted back into the notch, reminiscent of fireflies flitting in the air. Thus, Korezumi named the sword Hotarumaru. Sadly, Hotarumaru also carries a tragic legend. It later came to the possession of the Mitai family. After their downfall, a fleeing samurai hid in a mountain path at night, his Hotarumaru suddenly emitting a pale light, revealing his location to the enemy. Realizing his fate, it is said that samurai chose to end his own life. Afterwards, Hotarumaru was passed down as a treasure of the Aso Shrine. It was designated a national treasure in 1933 and remained in the shrine's possession until World War II. As the war began, the sword was entrusted to the local police for protection. However, after World War, it was confiscated during the disarmament efforts led by the GHQ, General Headquarters, and has since been missing. There are no records of Hotarumaru being officially disposed of, leading to various theories about its whereabouts. Some believe that an officer named Biedersen from the GHQ took it back to the United States, while others suggest it might have been sunk along with other swords at the port in Kumamoto Prefecture. Number 4. Kashu Kiyomitsu. Kashu Kiyomitsu is a sword known to have been the beloved blade of the 19th century samurai Okita Soji. The swordsmith who crafted this blade was named Kashu Kiyomitsu. It is a type of sword called an uchigatana with a blade length of approximately 28.6 inches. Okita Soji, the owner of this sword, was a samurai who thrived during the end of the samurai era in the 19th century and was known as one of the greatest swordsmen of the Shinsengumi, a police force in Kyoto. Born into a poor samurai family in 1842, Okita lost his parents when he was just 4 or 5 years old, leading his sister to take over the family. Despite a childhood of poverty, a turning point came when his talent for swordsmanship was recognized, and he joined a prestigious swordsmanship dojo at age 9. His talent blossomed quickly, and he soon became a master of the sword. Famous for his sandanzuki, 3-stage thrust, where he would make 3 thrusts within the time it took to hear a single footstep. In 1863, alongside Kondo Isami and others from the same school, he formed the Shinsengumi. During this period in Japan, the Sonno Joi, Revere the Emperor, Expel the Barbarians movement was gaining traction, advocating for the emperor to be the central figure in governance, posing a serious threat to the ruling Tokugawa shogunate. The Shinsengumi played a crucial role in defending Kyoto against the imperial loyalist samurai who supported this ideology. In 1864, the Ikedaya incident catapulted the Shinsengumi into the limelight. The Shinsengumi uncovered the plot by the Sonno-joi faction to set fires in Kyoto, create chaos, assassinate influential daimyo, and abduct the emperor to Choshu. On June 5th, Okita and a small team of just 5 Shinsengumi members located the inn called Ikedaya, where the imperial loyalist samurai were meeting. They stormed into Ikedaya, and amidst the confined chaos of the inn, Okita Soji, wielding his beloved Kashu Kyomitsu, cut down many enemies. Despite the tip of Kashu Kyomitsu breaking off during the fierce fight, the raid was a success. They decimated 20 key members of the Sonno-joi faction and thwarted their plan. This valiant deed at Ikedaya resonated nationwide, significantly boosting the Shinsengumi's influence. After the Ikedaya incident, Okita Soji took his Kashu Kyomitsu to a blacksmith to attempt repairs, but it was returned as irreparable. The subsequent whereabouts of this sword remain unknown. Number 3. Yagen Toshiro. Yagen Toshiro is a tanto short sword known for its numerous legendary tales. Crafted in the 13th century by the swordsmith Toshiro Yoshimitsu, who was renowned for his skill in making short sword. 4 of his blades, including this one, are designated as national treasures. Yagen Toshiro has a blade length of about 9.8 inches and is famed for its exceptionally sharp cutting edge. The first known owner of this sword was the 15th century feudal lord Hatakeyama Masanaga, a powerful figure of his time. In 1493, during a defeat in battle, he was surrounded by enemies at his main camp, facing inevitable seppuku, ritual suicide. Resolved, he attempted to thrust the sword into his stomach, but it wouldn't pierce. After 3 attempts with the same result, he threw it in frustration and it easily stuck into an iron vessel used for mixing medicines, called yagen. Astonished by this, Hatakeyama Masanaga remarked that the sword refused to cut his belly because it was an heirloom. And from this event, it was named Yagen Toshiro, becoming known as a loyal blade that protected its owner. Later, the sword came into the possession of the infamous warlord Matsunaga Hisahide, known for his treachery and skills in appraisal, who collected many famous swords. He presented it to Oda Nobunaga, the most powerful warlord in Japan at the time, as a token to maintain their alliance. Nobunaga favored Yagen Toshiro highly, reportedly carrying it at all times. In 1582, during the incident at Honnoji, Nobunaga was betrayed and attacked by his general Akechi Mitsuhide. Overwhelmed by a force of over 10,000, Nobunaga set fire to the temple where he was staying and committed suicide. It is said that he had Yagen Toshiro with him at the time, and the sword was believed to have been destroyed in the fire. However, there are claims that it was later found in a farmhouse in Osaka, but its true fate remains unclear. Number 2. Honjo Masamune. Honjo Masamune is a sword crafted by the legendary swordsmith Masamune, who flourished during the 13th and 14th centuries. This sword has since been passed down through generations as a symbol of the shogunate's authority. Known as one of the finest craftsmen in history, Masamune's blades were invaluable to the powerful samurai who wielded them. This particular sword, characterized by a slight curve and a blade length of 25.7 inches, is known for its striking blade pattern. Honjo Masamune gained historical prominence in the 1588 Battle of Jugorigahara. Near a castle in Yamagata Prefecture, the battle was fought between the forces of the samurai Honjo Shigenaga and the brothers Tozenji Yoshinaga and Katsumasa. the Honjo forces quickly overwhelmed their opponents. Yoshinaga was killed in battle, and his brother Katsumasa, attempting a desperate solo assault on the main camp, struck at Honjo. His sword hit Honjo's helmet, cleaving the helmet's clasp in two. Astounded by the sharpness of the blade, which was later called Honjo Masamune, Honjo Shigenaga took the sword from Katsumasa after defeating him and named it after himself. After uniting Japan, the Honjo Masamune was passed to Toyotomi Hideyoshi and later to Tokugawa Ieyasu. Ieyasu founded the Edo shogunate in 1603, and the sword remained with the Tokugawa shogunate for 260 years, symbolizing the transfer of power to each new shogun. In 1939, Honjo Masamune was designated as a national treasure, but later that year, World War II erupted. After Japan's defeat, the country was occupied by the GHQ, General Headquarters, which decided to confiscate all weapons in Japan as part of the disarmament process. At this time, Honjo Masamune was also seized. It is believed to have fallen into the hands of a sergeant from the American 7th Cavalry Regiment, and its whereabouts since then have become unknown. The sergeant's name was recorded in Katakana as Kori Deibaimo, later translated as Koldi Baimor, a peculiar name. Despite the lack of reliable information of its current location, both Japanese and international sword enthusiasts continue to search for traces of the Honjo Masamune. Number 1. Kogarasumaru. Kogarasumaru is a katana believed to have been crafted by the legendary swordsmith Amakuni during the mid-Heian period in Nara Prefecture. It is known as one of the oldest katana and revered as the ancestor of katana. Amakuni's blades are still preserved as treasured swords at numerous renowned shrines. Kogarasumaru has a blade length of 24.8 inches and a curvature of 0.5 inches. This sword features a unique shape because it was made during the transitional period between straight and curved swords, resulting in a blade that is double-edged rather than single-edged. The name Kogarasumaru originates from a legend involving Emperor Kanmu, who established Kyoto as a capital and built it into a massive city. One day, while observing the sky from the southern palace of the newly built capital, a giant three-legged crow appeared from the clouds. This bird, known as Yatagarasu, served the sun goddess Amaterasu. When Emperor Kanmu beckoned it with his scepter, the crow swooped down before the throne and spoke, "I have come from Ise Shrine bearing a sword." After the crow flew away, a single sword was left behind. This sword, crafted by Amakuni, was then named Kogarasumaru, meaning little crow, and kept at the imperial court as a sword for protecting the realm. In 939, the court bestowed Kogarasumaru upon Taira no Sadamori to defeat Taira no Masakado, who had declared himself king and established a new government. Since then, the sword has been passed down as a treasured blade of the Taira clan. The loss of Kogarasumaru occurred during the Battle of Dannoura in 1185, a decisive conflict between the Taira clan, who had the backing of the emperor and controlled Japan's power, and the Minamoto clan, a powerful group of samurai. After 6 years of conflict between the Taira and Minamoto, the Taira faced the Minamoto at the sea at Dannoura. With their strong naval forces and favorable currents, the Taira almost defeated the Minamoto clan. But a tide changed, and the Minamoto clan were able to counterattack and devastate the Taira forces. Realizing defeat was imminent, the Taira commander advised the emperor, then just 8 years old, along with his mother and grandmother, to end their lives. They did so by throwing themselves into the sea just before the Minamoto troops boarded their ship. Along with them sunk the imperial sword Kusanagi no Tsurugi and the Kogarasumaru. Centuries later, in 1785, it was discovered that a sword named Kogarasumaru was preserved in the home of a descendant of the Taira clan. This sword was later presented to Emperor Meiji in the 19th century and is currently regarded as Kogarasumaru. However, there is skepticism about its authenticity because the original Kogarasumaru crafted by Amakuni was marked with his signature, Amakuni, which the current sword lacks. This discrepancy has led some to believe that the existing sword might not be the original. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, giving a like, and leaving plenty of comments. Until next time, sayonara.